Here's another take. Here's another take to the White House responding to that question from the press. And I mean, like, I like a lot of Andrea's commentary, but oftentimes I disagree with her when it comes to the take of religion. I think she, as an atheist, she's a little harsh on people who did grow up with a religion, and not all, hashtag not all religious people. Not everybody is bad. Some people actually do take the teachings of the Bible and apply them in a pretty, healthy way to their life, that they need to be good to their neighbors, love thy neighbor and all that. Turn the other cheek, things of that nature. But yeah, religion has been bad in many circumstances, especially like the way that Republicans apply it, right? But there are a lot of leftists who are religious. I'm a non-practicing Catholic myself. I'm a Mariam Barium crowd, right? Um, I show up for the holidays and I show up for the special occasions. But the thing is, if you take the teachings of Christ to heart, it's supposed to be about doing charity. It's supposed to be about being good to the people around you. It is not supposed to be about condemnation and judging people. And actually, I mean, Andrea, if you took a better look at Pope Francis, he's really moved the church to the left. So you might be being a little hard on him, but let's take a look at what you got to say here about this Marianne Williamson thing.
A couple of days ago, there was some hullabaloo that occurred. I did not speak about it, and then yesterday was my day off, so now I'm going to talk about it. I'm a little late.
I love how you and Michael Richards like pull up all these old-timey references like that. Hullabaloo. What was one of the things? I think he used bats in the belfry once. He uses a lot of them. It's so funny when y'all pull this stuff up. It makes me think that y'all got raised by your grandparents.
But hey, whatever. There was some hullabaloo. And also some Tyler too, but we'll get to that later. And so the White House, it's a house that exists and it's white, decided to weigh in on Marianne.
Wait a minute. It's not exactly like they decided to weigh in. They were fielding a question from the press. I covered this in my last video. The reason the person is asking this question is because it's come up recently in the U.S. Senate race in California, that when Katie Porter announced her U.S. Senate run, Adam Schiff had he got his panties in a twist. And when she announced in the cycle before that she was going to run for Congress on the coast, because that she was redistricted, her house in Irvine got redistricted into the coastal district rather than so she lost the majority of her district to Young Kim as a result of redistricting. So she announced this early because she's a go-getter, right? She's whiteboard lady. She's out there, taking names. But Harley Reuter, he got his panties in a twist, and he probably was spoken to by the party or the D-Trip-C or whatnot, and told that he was a less viable candidate than Katie, and they weren't going to support his campaign, right? So he had to drop out early, and that happened twice right here in California, the 5th largest economy. So this reporter thinks he's asking a reasonable question based on the history of what's going on, probably where I'm guessing he's aware of the events of what's happened in California, right?
Williamson. Now, everyone knows, I'm sure you've seen this clip by now because it is pretty funny. This whole exchange is just, it's juvenile. It's hilarious. But the White House has weighed in on Marianne Williamson. And I want to talk about it because the whole situation is pretty funny. But let me recap real quick my position on the Marianne Williamson 2020.
Let me pause for a second. Okay, let's get back to it. I wanted to pull up I wanted to pull this back up just so you know the context behind what she's about to say. This is the tweet they're referring to. It is not the only tweet in which Marianne said something weird and spacey. If you check the timestamp on this, this was July 11th, 2019. She was already in the middle of campaigning for presidency for the 2020 cycle at this point, and she was saying spacey stuff like this all the time. There's actually a ton of tweets out there. This is not the only one, but this is the one that she was trying to remember. This is the tweet she was trying to remember.
24 campaign. I am an anybody but Biden voter. That is my position on the 2024 Democratic primary. I will vote for anybody but Joe Biden. I'm a never Biden voter. So let's imagine a scenario where Bernie Sanders hops in the race. I'm voting for Bernie Sanders. I'm going to vote for whoever is the furthest left that has a chance of winning.
But why do you think she's far left? Just being new age doesn't make somebody far left. It doesn't mean that they actually agree with progressive politics, that they agree with expanding government programs to provide more social services. It doesn't necessarily mean that that is the case. What are you basing this on? What about her platform makes you think that she is further to the left than Biden is? Because I don't see it. I'm not seeing how she's further to the left than Biden. She certainly doesn't care about human rights, and I can assure you she's not going to fight for the transgender community, Andrea.
And so, now, does that mean I love Marianne Williamson? No. I think she's a good candidate. I think she's a decent person. I think she has a great platform. Is it amazing? Is it fantastic? Is it as good as Bernie 2020? No. But it's a good campaign, and she also happens to not be named Joe Biden. Now, so I'm going to vote for her unless situations radically change. That's my bias. I'm getting my bias out there to begin with. But I've seen a lot of people talk about this clip here, and they're like taking it way too seriously. Now, again, maybe I just take things maybe I'm just more jokey. Maybe I'm just a little bit more silly than most people. But hey, I personally think that this clip is hilarious. Now, we're going to get to Marianne's response as well. Okay? Marianne responded, and I think her response is pretty good. But let's be honest, okay? Now, I know people...
Her response was entirely just indignation. There was nothing about her actual platform in that response. Well, at least what I saw from the majority report, which they couldn't... They only got through 2 minutes of it because it just was a rambling response about how dare you, make fun of me. There was nothing about her platform, nothing about the American people. I'm not sure how you see that as a good response.
They're doing these machinations, ooh, look at me, I'm trying to fight the culture war, I'm going to win, right? I consider myself divorced from that whole thing, so I'm just having fun here. But this is the White House.
But you're not. You're an activist. You were marching every day for hundreds of days, right? You're marching every day for somebody who died in your city that was killed by police, right? So it's not like you're separated from the culture war.
Responding to Marianne Williamson in a roundabout way.
Is the president...
I gotta raise the fucking volume here.
Annoyed, frustrated with Marianne Williamson for jumping in the race ahead of him? Did he want a clear field to run against the Republican nominee in 2024?
Just not tracking that. I mean, if I had a what is it called? A little globe here, crystal ball, then I can tell you. But I imagine 8-ball, whatever. If I could feel her aura, I just don't have anything. I just don't have anything to share on that.
So anyway, that one guy in the background was having a great time. So, okay, I've already watched this clip. When I first watched
Are you going to cover any of her debate moments? Any of the spacey shit she said during the debates in 2019? I was hosting debate parties back then. And it seemed like after every debate, we had all kinds of great clips of her saying some incredibly stupid shit. And so I don't think it makes progressives look good to support somebody who is so unviable, who's so ridiculous, who's such an SNL skit. Like, there's no way we can get her through any primaries. And I don't think it improves my profile as an activist to say that I voted for her. To be like, yeah, I'll vote for her. I'm not going to vote for her. I'll tell you straight up, I am not going to vote for her. Okay? I don't know if anybody else is going to get into the race, and who knows. But I think it's unlikely that any other challengers are going to appear at this point because of the instability of America based on the MAGA crowd and the QAnoners. And so because we went through an insurrection, because we went through a pandemic, even though Biden said he was going to be a one-term president when he was running, things have changed. The climate has changed because of the shit that we've gone through. And so it's unlikely that the Democratic Party is going to want to try and switch it up at this point when there's the risk of losing it to a Ron DeSantis or a Donald Trump. I mean, Donald Trump is probably going to be indicted. Then what? Is he going to get off because he'll call it a political attack? Or is he going to be like a mob boss running the government from jail?
I did laugh. It's not funny enough to laugh at a second watch. I'm just being honest with you. But it is pretty funny. But let's be honest here, right? Let's be honest. I'm not going to lie.
All right.
The idea that the White House is going to make fun of someone for being a little woo-woo spiritual when the President of the United States is a Catholic?
Yeah,
I mean,
this is where you go wrong, because you know what? There's millions and millions of Catholics. It is one of the most popular religions in the world. Not a great idea to attack your Catholic base. Okay? And like I said, this was the tweet. Food, $200. First of all, most families spend a lot more than that on food every month. Data, $150. Okay, so I'm guessing that she's maybe talking about her cable bill, right? This is like cable TV and your internet service. That's roughly around what I pay for cable. Rent, $800. Not possible. She lives in Ted Lieu's district, the second richest district in the country. And there's no way she's going to find an apartment, like even a one-bedroom apartment, for less than like $3,000. Not going to happen. So clearly she is so rich that she's not even handling her own finances, and she has no idea what normal Joes have to pay. But I can tell you, her district, where she lives, which runs from, I don't know how they might have redistricted it slightly, but formerly, before the redistricting, it went from Malibu down to Palos Verdes and thumbnailed in to capture Beverly Hills and Bel Air. It was the second richest district in the country. There's no fucking way you can get anything for $800 there, unless you're renting somebody's garage or something. Orbs, $3,600. Utilities, $150. That's some bullshit. My gas bill is over $1,000 right now, because natural gas has completely spiked. Now, this was a couple of years ago, though, right? Gas wasn't as high back then, but electricity was still pretty high. My electricity bills during the summer of 2019 were definitely well over 200, sometimes over 300. Spend less on orbs, says Amy Klobuchar. Marianne Williamson says, no. Like, why would you make yourself look ridiculous by supporting somebody like this? This is not the only weird ass thing that she said. She said a lot of weird ass things. And her platform, she was not supporting Medicare for All in 2019. And she's all over the place, dude. She's completely spacey. It's just doesn't make any sense to support that.
I'm sorry, I just don't take it seriously. Right? The president of the United States literally drinks the blood, or at least in his fucking fantasy world, drinks the blood of Christ. This motherfucker is like, he thinks that the Pope is like some crazy ass, like, you know, communicator from God and some shit. He believes that like Jesus like came back as a zombie. I mean, this is what the president of the United States.
Millions of people practice this religion, Andrea. It doesn't make sense to alienate your audience like that, because it's a very common religion to grow up with. And on top of it, Catholics are not the only people who believe in the Last Supper, believe in that he said, this is my blood, when he gave out the wine, and this is my body. That was part of it. There are several other religions that practice communion as well. Several other religions that practice communion. So I don't know why you would attack your audience like that, because not everybody's going to be an atheist. And they might be deeply involved in their religion. They might be non-practicing like me. Somebody who just kind of lightly has it in the background as part of my family history. But I don't have a problem with people who believe in this, as long as they're applying it in a good way. As long as they're applying the positive attributes of the religion, which is love thy neighbor, turn the other cheek, forgiveness, charity. That's generally what most people take away from it. It's the crazy Republicans that decide that they need to condemn everybody else. But I can tell you, Marianne's not going to be defending transgender women. That's not going to happen.
Believes. Okay, so I'm just being honest. The idea that you're going to insult Marianne Williamson's secular spirituality when the president believes in Jesus and Holy Spirits, right? Motherfucker believes in Holy Spirits. Like at least Marianne Williamson, to my understanding, does not believe that there's a Holy Ghost following her around telling.
That's not necessarily true. I don't know what the Unitarian Church believes, but that is where she has been donating books for their library up in Los Angeles. So it's not like she's not participating in some sort of organized religion. I think it's unfair to use religion as a comparison here. She is definitely involved in some level of religion. And I think they're just a little bit more hippie. But I don't know that they totally reject the idea of Christianity. I don't know that that's necessary. I don't know enough about it to tell you one way or the other. But she's been donating books to a Unitarian church that I went to, where Tulsi Gabbard had a rally.
You know, that she's going to save the day, to my understanding. Now, maybe she does believe in that. I don't know, but I've not seen any of that. So I'm just throwing that out there. I think that's hilarious. But also, I think it's just really funny that the White House, like, just decides to make jokes about this kind of stuff when, again, technically, hey, the president hasn't even announced he's running yet. If you wanted to announce you were running to shore up the primary, as of this moment, anybody but Biden voter or not, the only person on the ballot, Marianne Williamson. So I'm just throwing that out there.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't technically need to announce right away, because when you are the incumbent president, and this goes for both parties, you are the leader of that party. Whatever party you ran in as, when you become president, you are the leader of the party. So he already has, and maybe you're just too young to know that, but basically every single organization that's part of the Democratic Party, the DNC, the DCCC, the DSCC, all of these organizations that fall under the umbrella of the Democratic Party, the state parties, the central committees, everything else. He is technically the leader of that entire thing because he is the president. He's the incumbent president and he's a Democrat. Same with when Trump was in office. That's why the GOP is having such a hard time separating from Trump, because he was, for 4 years, the leader of the GOP. And he's having, the GOP leaders are having a hard time separating their relationship from Trump so that he doesn't have so much control over party resources anymore.
But Marianne responded, and let's talk about this response here. She posted a tweet that says, "They might think it's a joke, but there is nothing amusing about people going bankrupt from medical debt or children going to bed hungry." So, I also want to say this, that I did see that Bernie Sanders has made a statement about the Marianne Williamson campaign. Basically, Bernie is splitting the middle. Bernie is saying she's going to run a great campaign, and he also reiterated he's going to support Biden if Biden runs again. Right now, but again, let's be honest here, elephant in the room, Marianne has a next to 0% chance of winning. Now again, I have no personal issue whatsoever doing positive propaganda for a primary challenger against Joe Biden. I've been saying on my show since Super Tuesday in 2020, I've been saying if Joe Biden wins, we got to primary this motherfucker, no questions asked. So again, I have no problem in the world. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Marianne Williamson is the perfect candidate. I'll criticize her if I need to, but she is clearly a much better candidate than Joe Biden. And again, the only way you would disagree with that is if you got like this weird brain.
She's not clearly, because Biden actually has been working with the progressive side of the House. He's been incorporating policies into his bills. It's not to the degree that we would like it to be, but he has actually been working with the progressive side of the House. It's not like he's totally ostracizing them or making it difficult for them. Not like when Trump was in office and the only leadership that was going on there was like Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, who were, lambasting the progressives within the party. But Biden actually has been working with them. Marianne is completely ineffective and totally spacey. And you're right, she's not going to fucking win shit. She's not going to win a single primary, period. All she's going to do is rile up the really divisive people that cause us chaos in local activist communities.
Where you think that like Joe Biden must be defended at all costs because he's going to run again, and then if he doesn't want to be weakened for the, I'm sorry, man, but we live in a whole new world. We can't apply the fucking 1970, 1980, 1960 fucking playbook on this. This is a whole new fucking world here. So I'm just saying, is it even possible that Marianne could win? I think so. Now again,
wow, no.
I don't think it's going to be very likely. I think it's maybe a 0 or 1% chance. But again, I'm just giving all my biases on the table. People know where I stand. But this is Marianne Williamson's response to this. Let's watch. I personally think it's pretty decent, but, let's watch it first and I'll tell you what I would do better.
I was so sad.
Oh, God, the volume is so low. Jesus Christ. I am so sad with this fucking volume level. Let's hold up. Oh, whoops.
I was so sad to see the commentary of the President's press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, about me, about crystal balls, which I've never spoken or written about, and auras, which I've never spoken or...
Again, that's not fucking true. Not fucking true. Not fucking true, Marianne. You have spoken about it. Not fucking true.
Written about, and just speaking so derisively and in such mocking terms about someone who is running for president of the United States, and as a woman.
So, okay, I'm just going to be honest with you. The first 20 seconds of this, L. Hey, I'm just saying this. I support Marianne. I'm being honest with you. The first 20 seconds of this is an L, right? The idea that people can't mock someone running for president, I'm going to be honest, I don't believe it then. The idea that I can't mock a woman running for president, I mean, Nikki Haley announced she's running for the presidency on the Republican side. I simply don't agree. I'm going to mock the fucking shit out of Nikki Haley. I'm sorry. But again, I know she's playing this like above it all card, which, hey, as the proprietor of the Above It All podcast show, I'll let her have it. I'm just saying,
You shouldn't let her have it because it's feigned outrage. And this is like normal shit that happens between competitors in a race. I think that the larger question, which I think the majority report also missed, is that rather than take the opportunity to joke about Marianne, which is pretty easy, she's a pretty easy target, she should have said that we can't speak about his campaign in this capacity because these two roles are separate. And so what he's doing in the role as president today has to be separated from what he does to respond to some sort of campaign issues, because you do have to separate that. And so, like, you cannot... this is something that Trump kept doing all the time, too, by the way, is he kept using his office as president to campaign for his reelection, and technically these things are supposed to be separated. So, for example, if you look at all the congressional campaigns, they have a separate website and contact information for their actual congressional office versus their campaign operations, because there is a law that separates these things. So if y'all want to attack her for the way she responded to the question, that's how you should be attacking her. Not based on the fact that she made a joke that was an easy joke, because Marianne is a joke candidate. But rather that she should have replied that we cannot speak to his campaign issues during press conferences due to the fact that these things have to be kept separate.
Saying so far, I don't really agree, but I understand what she's trying to do, and I understand what the goal of this statement is. So let's just keep going.
And this is the Democratic Party. I have a constitutional right to run, and my candidacy is about substantive issues and policies. I have made it clear in interview after interview that the president is a nice man, and that I...
So, okay, now I just want to say this. Audience retention is everything. 90% of people that have clicked on this video have already clicked it off. Let's just be honest, okay?
Yep.
I'm just being honest, okay? Now, and I say this as someone who wants to support Marianne Williamson. I do not want Joe Biden to be the nominee. I don't want him to be president. I don't fucking like Joe Biden, okay? I think he's garbage. Personally, on a personal level, I think he's garbage. And on a policy level, I think he's garbage. But I understand what she's trying to do here. I just disagree with it. By 37-second mark, you can't just say my campaign is about policy and then keep going about the personal stuff. Like, now again, her tweet, right? The tweet, she kind of fixes this in the tweet where she primes people with some issues, and that's good. But my criticism is that if this were a Bernie speech, right? Bernie, in the first 5 to 10 seconds, would be talking about Medicare for all, would be talking about climate change, would be talking about, trans rights, would be talking about, stopping the fucking wall construction that Joe Biden is working on, right? So I'm just saying, that's what, like, if this were a Bernie speech, and again, Bernie was the last progressive presidential challenger, right? So she's going to have to deal with the Bernie comparisons. My opinion, this is a strategy that I respect, that she's going for a certain strategy. This ain't it. That's my opinion. It's not it, okay?
Well, and also it perpetuates a lot of female stereotypes that's really unfortunate, of like being overreactive, emotional, and not being able to get to the point, because she's so wrapped up on the fact that she was offended by something which wasn't even that offensive. So considering that she lied about the fact that she did tweet out about orbs. This is backwards for us. This is really backwards for us that she did this, when you're right. This is the same observation that the majority report made is that, you just address it real quickly. Well, it's unfortunate that they're going to take the low ground, but what America needs is this and that and Medicare for all and a Green New Deal. And she should have immediately gone into the issues, and instead she just looks like an upset woman. She's perpetuating stereotypes. It's really sad, you guys. It's sad.
And you can also keep the above it all attitude, like the genuine, like, I'm above the fray, I'm not going to take pot shots at the president, right? You can maintain that attitude, but just being a little bit faster speaking, a little bit more aggressive with what policies you propose, right? That's my constructive feedback for someone that will never watch my video, but let's keep going.
I have no interest in taking personal pot shots.
You don't know that, Andrea. You have no idea how close you are. Like, I know people watch my videos, and I have a much smaller following than you do, but I know people who know her, right? I know a lot of people who know her. So people do see our videos. I used to play 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon with one of my clients back in the early odds. No, it was the late 90s. You never know how close you are to a situation. The fact is, Marianne she lives like an hour from me. She hangs out with the Bernie's Coffee Shop crowd. She'll see your video. She'll see it.
But apparently the White House, or at least as expressed by Karine, doesn't share my commitment to the high ground. The hypocrisy here is something that all of us can see.
So again, this is not what I would do if I were running for president, which, by the way, I'd like to announce that I am running for president, even though I am not 35 years old, because if Donald Trump can run for president as an insurrectionist, and if you're an insurrectionist, you are banned under the 14th Amendment of the Constitution. If you're an insurrectionist, you are banned. You're not allowed to run for president. So the Constitution doesn't apply to Donald Trump. Therefore, if the Constitution says you have to be 35 to run for president,
they still haven't convicted him. This is the problem here. Like, yes, the 14th Amendment should apply. Absolutely. Everybody knows he did it. But for whatever reason, they have been acting so slowly on actually convicting him of that we can't even apply our constitutional protections from somebody like Trump.
I'm 26, right? I'll be 28 by the time of the 2024 election. So, hey, I say, if the Constitution doesn't apply to Trump, it doesn't apply to me. So I'd like to announce I am running for president too. Hey, maybe I'll announce as a Republican contender, right? Just to give Marianne the space, right? But anyway, let's keep going.
Because the president has said on his first day in office that anyone in his administration who spoke disrespectfully about anyone would be fired on the spot.
So, now, as much as I enjoy that little bit of hypocrisy, my opinion is that's not something you should put in your campaign statement. Right. That's something you should have people in the media talk about. Like, I have no problem talking about that. I think it's...
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, you could have other people sort of put that out, but it looks pretty petty because it was kind of just some light teasing. It wasn't like... It was some light teasing. I mean, like, if you can't handle some fucking light jabbing, give me a break.
Really funny that Joe Biden is like, anyone will get fired on the spot if they're disrespectful, right? I just think that's funny. I think it's a fun point of hypocrisy. But again, 1 minute into this response, and we have yet to actually discuss a single substantive issue. So again, but also, it is important to note that she did kind of prime us with the tweet text as well. So we are primed to have substantive...
Well, she's already hiring staff, Andrea, so she probably does have a social media manager who tried to, like, fix this for her. I do know at least one person who's been hired by her campaign. I do have some inside details about, like, what's happening with her campaign right now, and it's already not going well. I'll be real with you. The inside staff is already not working well together. Okay? And she could potentially have some problems on the campaign pretty soon.
Issues on the mind when watching this video, but still I feel like she should be a little bit more clear about that, because this is theoretically a moment where she can get a lot of press. So
Now, I'm not hoping that Karine Jean-Pierre loses her job over this, but I do hope that from now on, this low, derisive, this narrative about me, just obviously meant to get me out of the conversation. I hope that this path is not pursued. It's not good for any of us. It's not good for America. It's not good for the Democratic Party. People are watching. And I hope that everyone who is...
Basically, she's going to go down as Tulsi Gabbard. She's going to go down as Jill Stein. She's going to go down as this ridiculous candidate who has no potential of winning, but could potentially siphon off votes. But I think it's highly likely that she will not win a single primary, and then potentially try and run as a Green Party candidate.
Watching realizes this is not just about me. They're not just telling me to...
So 90 seconds in, and she is saying what Bernie would have said in the first 15 seconds. So again, I say this as constructive feedback, right? Out of all the people that are running for president, this is the one that is as close as possible to my perspective. As of this moment, I am de facto.
I don't think you're accurate in that, because, like, she has not been supporting Medicare for all. I don't know where you feel like you land on her platform, but I saw a Fox News interview with her where she completely brushed off identity politics. She's not going to support transgender rights because she sees that as a wedge issue. I don't know why you think that she's totally on board with you.
A Marianne voter, and so I want her to do better, right? And this is not going to cut it. So now I understand, right? I understand the main maintenance of the, we're not going to take pot shots thing, right? That's why you would want to do what Bernie would do and focus on what issues your campaign supports. Say, I'm sad to see that the president is, I'm sad to see that the White House, blah, 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 is saying this fucking stuff. Maybe you can stop, you don't have to say fucking in your statement. Right. But, I think it's not funny because my campaign is focused around this, that, blah, blah, blah. Maybe you can even make that. I'm just, but my point is 90 seconds and we're getting into like the kind of populist thing. That's too long. 90% of people, 95% of people have already clicked away from this. Let's be honest, okay?
Get away, like flicker off like a mosquito. It's about you. It's about anyone who, first of all, I think, has faith and takes faith.
By the way, it looks like she has, she's doing... This looks like the kind of live streams I do, I'll be real. And the thing is, I have low technology. Like, I have a mobile phone, right? I have a mobile phone when I do my live streams. She's got the camera coming up from down below. She's obviously a very thin woman, so it's not, totally weird. But it is a bit weird that she has, no technology to actually, do a real response. And the angles are weird. If you're running for president, don't you think about these things? Think about, what angle is the camera coming in from? It's bizarre to me that she's sitting there looking like an SNL skit. It's bizarre to me.
Seriously? Or is it just about any woman who speaks out of turn?
So again, the faith thing I think is funny. The woman who speaks out of turn thing, I don't think that that's really going to land. No. I also don't really, I don't know. I don't really get it, but let's keep going. Let's finish it.
I don't know. That's for you to decide. But whichever it is, I hope that we will stop that kind of nonsense. It's not good for any of us. Thanks.
So anyway, again.
That's the whole thing.
I'm going to be honest.
Oh my God.
A solid...
I thought actually that the Majority Report cut the video early when they were covering it. But that's the whole goddamn thing. She did not talk about a single platform issue. She did not talk about a single goddamn platform issue in that video. Not one. And then she had some sort of social media person write something up for her.
Maybe 4 out of 10 on this one. Okay. And again, the White House, they gave you a golden ticket, right? This video right here is a golden ticket for press, okay? And I don't think that Marianne's response is going to be the best.
Well, I'll tell you, the people who I know that are connected to the campaign, my advice was, well, I mean, obviously I can only Monday morning quarterback at this point because she already fucking did what she was going to do, right? But my response initially when this happened was she should have immediately talked about the issues, but also not lied about the orb tweet. She shouldn't have lied about that. She should have tried to position it as a joke that I was just trying to be funny or something when I wrote that. She needed to figure out some way to get around that tweet because the tweet is out there. People have screenshots of it. And the fact that she lied about that is a problem. The tweet is out there. And she just said, I have never talked about crystal balls. $3,600 per month for orbs is what she said. What the hell are orbs if they're not crystal balls? What the hell are they, right? Is she just trying to get into semantics because she didn't use exactly that word? That was a dumbass thing to do. She should have immediately tried to brush off that tweet, say that she was trying to just create some humor and get some clicks while she was going through the debates and stuff of the 2020 cycle. Brush it the fuck off, which she has not done, and then jumped into the issues. And instead, she gets up there and spends 2 fucking minutes ranting about how she feels like she's been insulted about something that she says didn't happen that actually did happen. That was some bullshit.
To take advantage of that press, right? That's my opinion. Whatever. But, again, it is hilarious that the president of the United fucking States is a freak show Catholic, right? Someone that literally believes that some guy 2,000 years ago was murdered, right? And crucified, and then came.
I honestly don't think your constant attacks against religious beliefs are helpful in this situation. I understand your position on it. I understand why you feel the way that you feel. But it doesn't make sense to use religion as somehow your deciding factor in this when Joe Biden actually is far more willing and likely to do things for the transgender community at this point in his career. Maybe not in the 90s, maybe not in the aughts, but at this point in his career, than she is. Because she's entirely about kitchen table economics. She doesn't care about anything that's considered identity politics, and she has said as much on Fox News. So I don't know why you're hyper focusing on the fact that some people do grow up with religious upbringing and practice family traditions in that regard. It's you're putting too much emphasis on it because especially on the left side of the house, it doesn't impact people as much as it does on the right side of the house, which is very much impacted by evangelicals and Pentecostals, okay, who are the really scary fucking people. They're the ones who think the end of the world is coming, the rapture is coming, and therefore we need to, be the people who eradicate what they consider to be sinners, right? Because they got to judge everybody. They got to fucking judge everybody, right? But you're putting too much emphasis on this particular aspect of these two candidates because Joe Biden is actually more likely to help the transgender community than Marianne Williamson. And that's fucking straight up.
came back like a zombie from Evil Dead or some fucking shit. And that's crazy. That is objectively insane. Joe Biden either has schizophrenia or knows it's all bullshit, but it's just...
Come on, Andrea. Millions of people practice Catholicism. And you're going to call us all schizophrenics. Really? Why? Why would you do that? Why would you alienate part of your audience like that? Like, that's not a great idea.
Lying about believing it because most Americans are dumb enough to believe in that stupid shit too, right? Those are the only two options that I can see. And so the idea that that's the situation, the White House is going to mock someone who is a little secular spiritual. I'm secular spiritual. I'm probably more spiritual than Marianne Williamson. I'm also an atheist. I don't believe in God. I don't believe that there could be a God. And even if there was a creator, I wouldn't submit to a creator and I wouldn't call them God. So I don't even believe in the concept of God. But I'm still spiritual. I believe in human spirituality. I believe that we're all connected. I believe in all that kind of good stuff.
Okay, well, why should I believe your belief system? Why is your secular spiritual system superior to the Catholicism that I grew up with? Especially when American Catholicism gives us the freedom to actually challenge the church and disagree. There are actual groups within the church that support abortion, that are pro-reproductive rights. There are, and it's not like they get thrown out of the church for organizing and forming together. Like, do you really know what's going on in religion, or you just kind of fucking have this idea and you just run with it?
Right? That doesn't I don't know, man. That's not even faith. That's not even faith. That's just following the science, right? As far as I'm concerned. But that's a sidebar. I just think it's funny. This whole situation is hilarious. And again, I think Marianne's response is okay. Solid 4 out of 10, okay? But I really think she needs to focus on the issues. She needs to highlight what her campaign is about. Make it, yes, the White House made a personal attack against you, right? You should have been able to get away from the personal attack in the first 10 to 15 seconds and then pivot to all issues. That's my opinion. That's what I would have done, and that's what I hope Marianne does in the future. But either way, pretty funny whole scenario.
Okay.
And there's my commentary. That's what I got.
All right.
Are you thinking